right. And then people can hop in if they decide to join.
Okay.
But we'll just go ahead and get started. Sound good?
Cool. Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Allie Sugarman. I'm the founder of Sweet Embrace Doula Services. And over the last 6 months or so, I've been interviewing local practitioners in the community just to see what they're all about and give new parents resources. So today I'm talking with Amy Miley. She's an acupuncturist at Clear Creek County Acupuncture and Holistic Health in Idaho Springs.
Hi guys. Hi, Allie. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Amy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice?
Yeah. So I just recently moved my practice to Clear Creek County. I was practicing in Lakewood, and my husband and my 2 daughters and I have moved to Idaho Springs within the last couple of years. And I was just really excited to be able to serve the community here. I feel like it's a really underserved community as far as healthcare goes, and even more underserved as far as holistic health options. So I'm just really excited to be here.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I do acupuncture is kind of my main branch. I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner. So I do acupuncture, herbal medicine, stuff like cupping and moxibustion and gua sha and tuina and just a whole bunch of Chinese modalities.
What are the last 2 you mentioned? I have never heard of those.
Yeah. So gua sha is it's a technique where we scrape the muscle, the tissue with a tool. It's usually like a jade tool.
Okay.
And it just kind of helps break up that tension in the muscle and reorganize the fascia a little bit. And then what else? Oh, tuina is the type of massage.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's not my favorite thing to do.
For sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So for those who don't know what acupuncture is, can you explain a little bit about it?
Yeah, definitely. So it is a whole system of healing. We can meet your body exactly where your body is at because we address the person rather than addressing the disease. So what happens with acupuncture is you do get little tiny needles. I should have brought one in with me to show you, but they're so small, and they get placed around the body in certain points that activate a healing response. And they're just now figuring out like how this works. Western medicine is just now doing a bunch of research on it and figuring it out. So yeah, I think I got everything there.
Awesome. How did you become interested in it?
So when I was a kid, my dad had MS, and one of the things that helped him manage his symptoms was acupuncture. And so I remember this acupuncturist coming to our house, and it was really fascinating as a child to see that. And then in my early 20s, I struggled with an autoimmune disease. And acupuncture was one of the things that kind of got me over the hump of being so sick all the time. And it was fascinaking. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Are your kids really into it?
My kids are really young, so I have a 3, almost 4-year-old and a 7-month-old. So
okay.
I think eventually they will be.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't stick them with needles yet, but I do, use herbal stuff on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And can you speak to how acupuncture and herbal medicine kind of fit together and work together?
Yeah, definitely. So the way that acupuncture looks at the body is the same way an herbalist would look at the body. So we're looking for these signs. We're looking to see if a person is balanced in certain areas, how their organs are functioning. And so what I can't address with acupuncture, I can address with herbal medicine. I kind of like to say herbal medicine is like the internal medicine, and acupuncture is kind of like the topical medicine.
Gotcha.
We can definitely affect things internally with acupuncture, but herbal medicine is just, it's going to like push you over that edge of healing.
Gotcha. That makes total sense. I'm a big fan of herbal medicine, so that's wonderful. Yeah.
And it's so funny too that it's such a simple thing. Like it's so intuitive once you start learning about herbal medicine. It's like, oh, that makes total sense. And it's like, oh, of course a cup of chamomile tea is going to like calm me down.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I've been really kind of experimenting with herbs over the last year. I've always loved herbs and herbal tea and tinctures and all of that, but I've kind of been through like a health journey over the last year. And so just experimenting with how like one herb affects me and how it makes me feel, and like jotting notes down and actually using it as a tool in that way. It's been really amazing.
That's really cool. And that's of course how like that knowledge was formed, as people were experimental with it. And I think it's definitely not something to be feared. And it's a people's medicine. So like you should listen to your body when you're taking herbs to see if they're the right herbs for you. They're not dangerous. Yeah.
No, it's just fascinating. There's so many different things that come from the earth that can help us, and it's just learning to use them and like learn about them too. So I think it's really amazing that you offer that tool to people. So do you like prescribe or give them herbs depending on what's going on in their body?
Yeah, definitely. So I am a Chinese herbalist, which means that most of the herbs that I prescribe are like Chinese herbs and they're in Chinese, but I try to break it down for people to let them know what they're ingesting. Totally. And a lot of the Chinese herbs overlap with the Western herbs too. So yeah, but so we can do like a compressed pill form. So they like grind up the herb and then put it into pill. We can do tinctures, like you mentioned. Definitely we can do raw herbs and do like in a decoction of raw herbs. And we can do powders. We can do powdered herbs too. So
you just like mix it in water and drink it? Is that how that works?
Yeah. I take it like a little shot because
nice.
They're not always pleasant.
For sure. Get it down as quick as possible.
Yeah.
That's great. So I know a lot of people, whenever acupuncture gets brought up in conversation, they're like, oh, I'm not a fan of needles. Like, that does not sound fun. I'm not about it. Do you get that a lot? And does acupuncture hurt?
Yeah, I get that a lot. That's probably, I think, the like number one concern of people when they come to an acupuncturist. But I promise you, like the needles are so tiny. And also the type of acupuncture that I do, the needle should not hurt. You might feel it go in and you might feel the sensation of the needle doing its job, which could be like a dull, achy or heavy sensation, but it should never feel like sharp or shooting. And my goal is to have you as relaxed on the table as possible. So I'm never going to leave you in a room to heal if you're in pain.
For sure.
So yeah. But no, it should not hurt. There are types of acupuncture like dry needling that can be very intense. But the type I practice isn't painful.
Gotcha. What's dry needling? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so dry needling is, like I said, a type of acupuncture, but it only addresses rather than addressing the whole body, it's very symptomatic and it only addresses like muscle pain and
Okay.
tightness. So a needle goes into the body of a muscle, like the trigger points of the muscle, and is stimulated really, really heavily until the muscle like has its little spasm, and then the needle's removed.
Gotcha.
So a lot of like physical therapists and chiropractors practice it. And it's great because it's effective, but they also don't have like the full scope of training that an acupuncturist does.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
So I know you kind of specialize in pregnancy.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in that?
Well, okay. So I found out I was pregnant with our first daughter when I was in grad school, when I was going to school for acupuncture. And it was kind of a difficult pregnancy. Both of my pregnancies, I get very, very, very sick. Super nauseous, very morning sick. And I realized that acupuncture can be used for pregnancy ailments, because a lot of women find that when they're pregnant, and they're having these aches and pains, or they're nauseous or constipated or can't sleep, there aren't really any good options for them to get relief. Like nothing is safe, in pregnancy. And acupuncture totally has a way of helping you through all of that. So that's kind of how I got started with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool when you can have like your own experience, like going into a field or like a career where you have direct experience with how that thing has like helped you. I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that as healers, right? You're a healer too. Like you were drawn to something that helped you heal. And I think that's so true. Like we're just drawn to the things that help us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you speak a little bit about what ailments or issues or concerns in pregnancy that acupuncture and herbal medicine can help address?
Totally. Yeah. So I mentioned the morning sickness. That is something that was really profound for me. Both acupuncture and herbs helped me kind of get through that. Anxiety, a lot of mamas are anxious. It's a really hard time to be pregnant right now. Like this past year, I've really felt for the people who have been pregnant. Insomnia, heartburn, constipation, the aches and pains, swelling is a big one. Yeah, I mean, all this stuff that your, general practitioner is like, well, you're pregnant. That's just a symptom of pregnancy. Like, sorry. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we need more people to look into acupuncture for that instead of like suffering through it.
Yeah. You don't have to have a miserable pregnancy. Oh, I forgot the really exciting stuff. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
So my favorite thing to do is to prep birthing people for labor. So a few weeks before the baby's due date, we start acupuncture treatments to help like the cervical ripening, the oxytocin kind of rises to help women, birthing people, to have an easier labor. And they're showing, the studies that are coming out are showing that people, I'm sorry, I keep saying that.
Okay.
People who receive acupuncture before birth have more pain-free. So they report less pain during birth. And they also on average have shorter births.
Ah, that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So it makes your job as a doula like really nice too.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, the shorter labors and obviously like childbirth is painful, but the less pain we can have during birth, it's just the better. So that's really awesome. And do you treat pregnant people differently than like somebody who's not pregnant? Like, are there certain protocols that you have to follow? Or like different points that you have to look out for or that you focus on more?
Yeah, definitely. So this medicine has been around for, they say like up to 4,000 years in some form or another. So there's plenty of evidence about the safety and efficacy of acupuncture and herbal medicine in pregnancy. So part of what we do is we have some points that we tend to avoid in different parts of pregnancy.
Okay.
Because historically they have been shown to either ripen the cervix or increase the oxytocin production. So we kind of avoid those in early pregnancy. And then when people are coming to me in later pregnancy, usually around 38 weeks, I can start using the forbidden points.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you turn breech babies with acupuncture?
Yes. So there has been recent evidence that moxibustion, which is a type of herb that's burned on or over the body, can help malpositioned babies flip. So like 80%, it has an 80% efficacy rate, which is so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and especially if you're combining it with other things like pelvic tilts and cat-cow and positioning, it can really help kind of like get that little baby into the locked and loaded position.
And
yeah.
At what week would you suggest doing that?
I really like to start early. So like around 34 weeks.
Okay.
Because the baby has room to do the gymnastics that it needs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's a thing that I teach you how to do, and then you can go home and do it yourself.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you would give them the herb to burn and them, and they can do it. Should they do it as many times as they want, or like once a day? What do you usually suggest for that?
Yeah, I send them home with an instruction sheet.
Nice.
But it's usually twice a day.
Okay.
For 10 minutes. So 20 minutes total a day.
Awesome.
Yeah. And traditionally it's done for 10 days.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great. That's really amazing to know, because breech babies are definitely a thing, and like it's just always a concern, and I don't know many OBs who actually are open to delivering breech babies. So yeah.
That's definitely yeah, it's definitely a concern for a lot of people when they learn that their baby is breech, that they're going to have a C-section no matter what.
Yeah.
But there are definitely tons of options before you get to the C-section point.
Yeah.
And that's part of my job too. Acupuncture is not just me putting needles in people. It's me assessing like the lifestyle, the nutrition, the holistic health of the person too. I have other tools for you other than acupuncture.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
oh
oh, there we go.
no, okay. Sorry. And that's something you get when you get acupuncture, is you get a holistic view of what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Obviously, like I have a holistic background, and so that's like my bread and butter, you know, I love it. But just, you know, I think you get more intimate, personalized care from a holistic practitioner. Just looking at your entire, like you said, lifestyle and what you're going through and your constitution and how you manage stress, and like all of these things come together. And so I think it's just a well-balanced way to help somebody through whatever they're going through.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And then my favorite part about taking a holistic approach is that you're actually giving the power back to yourself to heal your own body. Like you don't have to rely on anyone else or any outside substance. It's really, truly something that you can take charge of.
Yes. Thank you so much for mentioning that. That's a really important piece, just the empowerment part about it. And like, yeah, and learning about yourself too. It's a really great opportunity to just learn about your body and your mind and how they work together and what works and what doesn't, and you can make subtle changes to improve your life in general.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and they are subtle changes, honestly. Yeah.
Absolutely. So other than pregnancy, what other ailments does acupuncture and herbal medicine help?
Yeah. So honestly, really anything. And the reason I say that is because like I said before, we treat the person. We don't treat a disease. So that means we can treat anyone. Because we're not focusing on like masking symptoms. We're not focusing on giving you a quick fix. We're focusing on giving you the tools and helping you heal for the long run. And so like, I see a lot of people who are in pain. I see a lot of women who have period issues or conception issues. There's a ton of depression and anxiety, especially right now. And what's really exciting about acupuncture is, you know, it's working because one of the first things that happens is you feel better emotionally. And you're sleeping better, and you can just kind of handle the day with a little bit more strength.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you get a lot of people who have emotional release on the table, or does that usually happen later?
No, it does happen. It's pretty common. And I try really hard to make it a safe place for that to happen. I don't ever want anyone to feel ashamed to let that out or to share their emotions with me, because I'm not judging you. I've been where you are. Like, I get it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's really important to just give permission for them, give them permission to experience whatever they're feeling, and really let that emotion out if it needs to come out.
Yeah, totally. Definitely.
I know we talked a little bit about your kids earlier. Do you work on children? Is that safe?
Yeah, it is safe to work on kids. Usually we don't put needles in them until they're a little bit older, but we have other ways to, you know, to stimulate the acupressure points. The kids are so receptive to herbal medicine. It's amazing. Their little bodies are like, oh yeah, I know what this is for. They get it. That being said, working on kids is not my passion. Like that, it's really funny because I have to. But if somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, can you help my child? Yeah, I can, but there are people out there who are so much better trained in pediatric acupuncture than I am. So
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations off the top of your head for other practitioners who work well with kids?
yeah. So my friend Allison Wolfstar from Colorado Family Acupuncture she's really awesome at working with kiddos.
Great.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I did have one other question about
Yeah.
your work with pregnant people. So I know you said you kind of work with them to prep their bodies for labor. Have you ever been to a birth or anything like that to help things progress or help pain management?
Yes. Yeah. So that's actually part of the reason I did become a doula a few years ago because I wanted to be able to have, I wanted to be able to have that tool in my toolkit for people. So I have been to births. I have done acupuncture at births. And then we also have a really cool device that you can hook up to the needles and it sends like little electric pulses through the needles. It sounds really intense, but when you're in labor, you don't even know it's happening.
Totally.
Yeah. So it does help in labor. The tricky part about that is it depends on where you're laboring, on whether or not I can do acupuncture
And
with you.
even more so right now, I guess, because they're limiting the amount of people in the room. But do you find that obviously like home births are a go, like people will invite you into their homes. How do hospitals feel about it generally?
I have never done it at a hospital.
Okay, gotcha.
However, we can do acupressure all day, every day in a hospital. And you have that ability as a doula to help your client with that. Even the partner has the ability to help the laboring person with that.
Awesome.
So yeah. So
when
there
you're
are ways
working
around
with somebody, you can teach them different points and they can kind of use that as a tool.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. And that is something too. If you work with me and your partner comes with you to the appointment, I'm going to let them in on that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for the partners to know, like, to have some tools in their toolbox to be able to help. Because sometimes they're like, I don't know what to do, like deer in headlights sort of situation.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And it is nice again to give them some control of that situation too, because it's so we don't experience birth every single day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I definitely love working with partners. That's part of what I do in my prenatal meetings, just giving them some ideas and some tools so that they don't feel, I don't know, useless isn't the right word, but I think that it can be really challenging for them, especially when they are seeing their partners in so much pain that they aren't used to seeing. And, they might, I don't know, just giving them some guidance there, I think is really important.
Definitely. Yeah. That's awesome that you do that.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Because they feel kind of empowered too in that they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. Like, sounds good.
Definitely.
So I'm just curious what your intake session looks like.
Yeah. So if you're coming to me for the first time, the appointment's going to be about an hour and a half long. That's because we do a very detailed intake process. And I ask you a bunch of questions that you're like, I don't even know why this is related. Like, I have shoulder pain. Why does she need to know about my poop? But it all ties in. We can't look at one part of the body without looking at the rest of the body. And we can't make substantial healing progress if we don't have an idea of how the body is truly functioning. So yeah, you're going to answer some questions that you probably don't talk about a lot. And then you go to treatment. And so the way I do my treatments is I throw the needles in, and you get to lay on the table for about half an hour and just really zone out, zen, be with yourself.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's nice.
How often do you suggest people come back to see you?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what's going on with the person. So acupuncture, again, is very individualized. What works for somebody really great is not going to work for the next person.
Sure.
As a general rule of thumb, if you're coming to me for a problem that you've had for a while, it's usually beneficial to come like once a week for 8 to 10 treatments.
Okay.
To kind of get over the hump of the problem. And then you can use acupuncture later on down the road, you know, for anything else that might arise, or if you're getting a cold or you're having allergies, or you know, you sprain your ankle. Pregnant people is a little bit different because it depends on what part of their pregnancy they're in and what they're coming to me for.
Sure.
So certainly like the labor prep aspect of it, I'd like to start the last few weeks. So like 36 weeks on, I really like to have them come once a week.
Okay.
At least.
Gotcha.
Depending on, you know, what their mental state is. Sometimes people just are getting so anxious by that point and like so ready to have the baby that we can definitely try amping up those appointments. And then if somebody's coming to me, like they're past their due date, right? So acupuncture can kind of, like I said, help prime the body for labor. If they're coming to me past their due date, if they're really motivated, they should come back every day and we'll just get that baby out.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And like along with that, I'm sure because they're on the table for some time, like it's just a chance to kind of be with themselves, like you said, and relax and get some self-care into, which is really important, especially if you're anxious about having a baby.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And the transition to parenthood, I mean, like, get all that self-care in while you like have the time and ability to do it.
Absolutely.
Because it gets substantially harder after.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you take insurance? So
I'm not in network with any insurance providers right now. But acupuncture is paid for by health spending accounts and flex savings accounts.
Okay.
So if you have either one of those, we can work with that. And then what we can always try to do is if you think you have really good insurance that might cover it, we can always try and submit them a super bill and see if they'll reimburse you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Might as well try.
Yeah. Yeah. But I will say, because you see the price tag of acupuncture and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like expensive. If you break it down though, there aren't co-pays, there aren't prescription costs. You're paying for your health in the long run, rather than paying to catch up on your health, you know?
Absolutely.
And I also offer, it's semi-private acupuncture twice a month for $40.
Nice.
And then I also have like packages that make it a little bit more affordable for people.
Awesome.
Yeah, because that was one of my biggest challenges as a practitioner is like the value of acupuncture is very high.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cost can be kind of a challenge for some people. And I understand that. And I can work with you.
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at least I know for me as a doula, I think that a lot of these modalities or services are super beneficial, and I think everybody should have access to them. So I think it's really wonderful that you offer several different ways to work with people.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I agree. It should be accessible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. So last question, what else would you like everybody to know about you?
Oh,
If
wow.
there is anything.
Yeah. So I love building a community. I
Mm,
love supporting the people in my community, the other moms in my community, the other parents in my community.
mhm.
And so I'm just here for you, in whatever capacity that is. I just want people to know that that is kind of my goal in life is to create a community. It takes so many people to get through this life.
Mhm.
It's hard.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for what you do and for being you. You're lovely. And hopefully I get to meet you in person sometime soon.
Oh,
Maybe I'll
I
come see you for
know.
acupuncture.
Yeah, we could trade. I need some Reiki in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Oh, Allie, thank you so much.
Of course. It was great talking with you. And I'll send you this link so you can have the video and send it to whoever you want. And I look
Okay.
forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.